Paranormal activity, curses, demons, aliens. Some sinister and scary stuff has happened over time. I'm a huge chicken, what can I say? Number 10. Cursed trumpets. King Tut's trumpets are a pair that were found in the burial chamber of the 18th dynasty pharaoh upon discovery. One silver and one bronze. The oldest operational trumpets in the world and the only known surviving examples from ancient Egypt. Both are engraved with images of the gods, and both were silent for more than 3,000 years before the trumpets were played for 150 million people live on a BBC broadcast in 1939. And then World War II happened. Yeah, because apparently the curator of the Tut collection at the Egypt Museum says whenever they're played, a war occurs. Yeah. The bronze trumpet was stolen from the museum in Cairo during the looting riots of 2011, and then hilariously enough, returned 2 weeks later. Yeah, apparently Buddy didn't like the ancient gods just roaming his condo. You think? Number 9. Annabelle. The most infamous and dangerous possessed doll in the world. Yeah, pretty well all you need to know about that. Found at the home of the Warrens Occult Museum in Connecticut, we know a little bit about this doll with all the films about her. She rests inside a glass case marked "Warning, positively do not touch." Aggressive, but necessary. Gifted to a nursing student from a thrift store in the 70s, incidents involving levitating onto the table and running around at night, she took the doll to a medium who said it was possessed by a little girl who had passed. Ed and Lorraine were called shortly after, and they offered to take it to their home. On the way home, Ed said that the doll was making the car do funny things. Swerving, no power steering, brake checks. Haunted. Yeah. The museum unfortunately shut down in 2019, but the cursed objects seem to be staying put, which the owners even refuse to make eye contact with. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I would definitely Ronaldo that thing across the room if it was running around my apartment 2 a.m. Just field goal it right out the window. Number 8. Travis Walton. The horrifying abduction of Arizona forester Travis Walton. This is my favorite alien abduction case, yet the scariest, hands down. Fire in the Sky, filmed in 1993, does a pretty bang-up job at what happened that night. In 1975, Walton and a logging crew were working in the National Forest. Him and 6 of his co-workers encountered a saucer-shaped craft feet away from their truck, making a high-pitched tone. The curious Walton was then blasted by a light beam and apparently abducted into their ship. The men were terrified and drove off immediately. Walton claims that he then woke up in a hospital room on board, observed by 3 short, bald creatures, before fighting tirelessly and losing consciousness. He remembers nothing else until he found himself awake, walking along a highway 5 days later, naked, just wandering the highway in a daze. He's had tons of interviews. Guy was definitely taken. He's also so peaceful about it too. He's just convinced that they tried to heal him from the accidental blast. I check your organs and your pineal gland. Just make sure they're all there and intact, you know? Holy moly. Number 7. Werewolves of London. Real werewolves. In the 80s, Lorraine and Ed Warren traveled in search of a real-life wolfman. Apparently they were watching a TV show following the life of a local werewolf, Bill Ramsey, in London, England, and Lorraine felt a strange connection to him. After a quick trip to London for more answers, she found Bill's whereabouts. Unlike usual werewolf folklore, he didn't transform every full moon, and he didn't get bit. Bill Ramsey was apparently possessed by an evil wolf spirit. That's right. It was so bad that he needed a full-blown exorcism. The Warrens brought Bill back to Connecticut to meet Bishop Robert McKenna, and the exorcism was a success. Thanks to everyone involved that day, Bill lives a pretty normal life now, very unpossessed. Yeah, I'd hope so. This is terrifying. Imagine that's your neighbor. Yeah, sometimes I change into a werewolf once in a blue moon. I'm Bill. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the neighborhood. This is a fruitcake. Number 6. Osiris. Yet again, something stolen that's very, very old. Why do people steal the oldest, most cursed stuff? The infamous statue of Osiris. In 1971, during an excavation in Saqqara, Egyptologist Walter Brian Emery found a small statue of the Egyptian god of death, Osiris. Emery took the statue of Osiris, and once at his house, Emery went to the bathroom to shower. After a few moments, apparently his assistant heard Emery screaming in fear. He found him clutching the sink, scared to death and paralyzed. Emery was diagnosed with paralysis of the right side of his body and was unable to speak. He died the following day. Yeah, talk about a curse of the pharaohs. Like, buddy, you can't just steal stuff and then just throw it up overseas in a museum. Especially the stuff that clearly says in hieroglyphics, do not remove. This is cursed. It's pretty clear right there. Like, never steal anything ancient, you know? That's just a scary movie like waiting to happen. Number 5. The Perron Family. In 1952, Ed and Lorraine founded the New England Society for Psychic Research. They quickly gained notoriety after this next case. The Perrons. In 1971, the Perron family, Carolyn, Roger, and their 5 daughters moved into a 14-room farmhouse in Rhode Island. At first, items started disappearing, then the ghostly sightings started. It was discovered that the home had some previous sinister owners. Self-immolation, freak accidents, and of course, murder in the attic. Whoever the spirit was, she perceived herself to be the mistress of the house, and she resented the competition my mother posed. The Perrons asked the Warrens to come in more than 10 separate times to help against this sinister, ghastly entity. During one seance, Carolyn was possessed, even rising from the ground while sitting in a chair. Andrea, the oldest daughter, said, "My mother began to speak a language not of this world in a voice not of her own. Then her chair levitated and she was thrown across the room." Yeah, just zipping around the house, floating around on a chair like the Jetsons? Yeah, no thank you, that's like haunted. Just bulldoze that thing, would ya? Number 4. The Ring. One ring to rule them all. The Vine Ring, aka the Ring of Silvianus, is a gold ring from the 4th century AD. The ring was discovered on a farm in 1785 in England. First the property of a British Roman named Silvianus. Apparently, it was stolen by a person named Senicianus, upon which Silvianus hexed the ring with a curse. In 1929, during excavations of the site, archaeologists discovered the now curse that goes with said ring, consulting shortly after with one J.R.R. Tolkien. The band of the ring has 10 edges. Among it is the goddess Venus engraved, along with the words, "Live in God." The lore goes, Silvianus' ring was stolen by someone named Senicianus. Silvianus created and hexed a tablet in which he wrote, "For the god Nodens, Silvianus has lost a ring that has donated 1/2 of its worth to Nodens. Among those named Senicianus, permit no good health until it's returned to the temple of Nodens." Yeah, that sounds like a spell to me, dude. And Nodin is like Poseidon, so you don't want any of that smoke. Number 3. A haunting in Connecticut. Based on all real case and point. A 2009 gem. The accounts of the horrific case of the Snedekers who moved into a ghost-infested house in Connecticut, unknowingly moving into one of the most sinister haunted funeral homes on Earth. At first, mom notices items missing, but that's just the start. Then the children started to see strange people in their home, and then their son started to act a little strange. Violent outbursts, physical attacks on his own family. Maybe he was becoming the next victim to the house's grim history. After months of scary stuff going on, the Warrens were finally called in, and turned out the morticians that had lived there previously had practiced some abysmally sinister acts on some lifeless bodies, deepening the home into the hell it was now sold as. An exorcism or two later, and the house finally became a home again. The case can be reimagined in 2009's Haunting in Connecticut, where the story follows the story drawn out by the Snedekers all those sinister years ago. Yo, Taylor gets possessed, I'm swinging immediately. You know what I mean? Like so many holy hands right away, just... Number 2. Statue of Lemb. The Women of Lemb statue was discovered in Lemb, Cyprus in 1878 and dates back to about 3500 BCE. The statue earned the nickname the Goddess of Death after 4 different families experienced tragedy while possessing the carved stones. The first owner, along with his entire family, died within 6 years of owning the statue, all of mysterious and rapid illnesses. The other 2 owners also died, of course, along with their entire families, just a few short years after obtaining the statue. The 4th owner died alongside his wife and 2 daughters of mysterious causes while in possession of the rock. Now, a gift to the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh, it's encased in glass, safe, and unable to bear any other family bad omens. And number 1, the Mummy. My number 1 spot, of course, this is the most terrifying find of all. In 1991, a 5,000-year-old frozen preserved human mummy was discovered in the frozen Ötztal Alps of Italy. Ötzi, of course, is the name the researchers chose to name this mummy for obvious location reasons. Ötzi, though, is believed to have been murdered before being frozen in time due to the discovery of an arrowhead embedded in his left shoulder, various wounds on his body, and also the blood-soaked tunic he's wearing with multiple people's DNA on it. Maybe in combat, maybe from megafauna, who knows? Scientists believe that he's the oldest known naturally preserved mummy on Earth. This is where it's gonna get spooky. Once unearthed, a curse surfaced too, and grew stronger as people linked to him began to die one after another in violent freak accidents. So far, 7 deaths have been tied or related to Otzi's de-thawing, including forensic pathologist who was killed in a car accident en route to give a speech about Otzi, a mountaineer in an avalanche, a hiker who discovered the Iceman falling down a treacherous path, the molecular archaeologist was found dead in his home, the head of the forensic team had a heart attack, another discoverer died of a sudden brain tumor, and another of multiple sclerosis. Yo, say what you will about curses, when people start dropping all involved with the find, I'd say it's probably the 5,000-year-old mummy you just found. You think? Hey, we hope you enjoyed that video. We'll see you next time for some more on Bumblebee.